All right, everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat here at Shira David. It's been a long time. Baruch Hashem, we're back, and I thank Hashem. It was a very long trip. Very long trip. But I met some amazing people along the way, and a lot of wonderful experiences. And one thing I'd like to say is every base medrash I went to, after davening, they all said Tehillim for Eretz Yisrael. All the places I went to, I was amazed by that. Wherever I went to, and I was in Rome, in the basement. It was unbelievable. yeah. Then that was in Vienna. Vienna was amazing. Mamish, the community they have there is unbelievable. I never saw anything like that other than in New York. I never saw anything like in Vienna, like in New York. You have in Vienna kosher supermarkets. You have different yeshivas. You have different Jewish communities. You have a Chabad, of course, and then you have Satmar, Belz, and Boviv, and they're all. And I met a Bukharian community, and then they have all their Sfard, and they're all. It's amazing, really. Kosher restaurant and everything. What an infrastructure! Unbelievable. It was a surprise. That was a surprise to me.
And will be done in the dimension or downstairs?
Downstairs.
That's a better thing.
Yeah. I didn't care too much for that. And then we were in Hungary, and then that was interesting too. Okay, but Baruch Hashem, I'm here now back in Eretz Yisrael. So let's learn. So we're learning it's Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Chukas. Wow, unbelievable. Wow, Parah Aduma, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu should send us the real Parah Aduma with Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Unbelievable. The beautiful Parah Aduma. Okay, so we're learning in Likutey Halachos Hilchos Netilas Yadayim, and we're in Halacha Vav, and we left off at Yud Aleph. That's what the Chaver says here. Okay, so we'll start off with Yud Aleph. Okay. This is what it says in Shulchan Aruch. Okay, so here we go. A lot of people don't know that. People just they don't know that you have to have your 10 fingers have to be on the bread. When you're picking up the bread, you have to have all your fingers on the bread. That's a halach in Shulchan Aruch. When you're going to break the challah, when you're making the bracha, you're supposed to have all 10 fingers on there. We're going to learn why now. Because the lechem that you're eating comes from the yadayim that are b'yam ha'chochma. So we said the yam ha'chochma is the place of where all things come from in Shemayim, all the brachas and everything come from. It's all connected back there to remind us always that all our parnasa, everything is coming from Hashem. To remind us that. Through this, you come to Kedushas Achila, Sheikaru Liskais, Oz Laros Harotzain, Shenimchach Yedaya Yedayim, Shema Ramazim. Okay, basically when you come to, when we're reviewing what we learned before, and when you pick up your hands, and you see, again, when we make the bracha, we say, before we make the bracha, we say, Su Yedechem Kodesh Uvachos Hashem. We pick up our hands all by our minds to remind us that these hands that are doing the work and doing everything, it's only coming from Hashem. It gives me the koyach to do whatever I do. I have to remind myself that. Otherwise, people forget; they get carried away with their work. And to always remember these remazim, the remazim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always trying to show us, these hints in everything that we're doing, everything in halacha. There's always a remez, a hint to remind us it's all about Hashem, to remind us to keep Hashem. That's why Hashem gave us all these mitzvahs. So all day long we're busy with Shulchan Aruch, right? If you learn Shulchan Aruch, well, those that are learning Shulchan Aruch, you see everything, every moment in the day, you feel, there's another halacha. Why? To remember Hashem. All the Ramazim, unbelievable. But now here's the next, the Yud Beis is very beautiful.
What do the 10 fingers do for reminding you of Hashem?
Oh, so that we're doing Yud Beis.
Oh, okay.
Watch Yud Beis now. Okay? V'zeh b'chines mehechin ka ashoris hamaitzi. So the Shulchan Aruch goes on, and it says, where on the bread do you actually break the bread? In other words, where on the bread do you actually eat the first thing that you eat from? Where is that? Okay, meheichen dekorim b'shula. Okay, the place that the bread was in the oven, and it got a little bit more singed, a little more burnt, a little more well done. So you always have on the bread, there's a little spot that's a little extra well done. So the Arizal says that's a simin min hashamayim, right? That piece of the bread that got a little more well done, because that's the part that needs the tikkun, right? In everything in the world needs tikkun. Everything needs repair, right? So it works out that dough that they when they were preparing the loaf, that piece of dough, whatever it was, and then when it goes in the oven, it sits in there a certain way, so that you can make the bread and you can eat that piece, and you make the bracha and you eat that. It's unbelievable to even think about these things. How normally no one would think about that. What's the difference? What part of the bread I eat, and who cares? I'm eating the bread. Who cares? No. Wait. No. No, you need a tikkun. So there's a tikkun something going on here. Unbelievable. Okay, ki achilas Yisrael tzricha lias b'kedusha gedol. Because when we eat, Jews eat, we have to eat with a lot of holiness, right? We have to eat it. It's a special thing when you're eating, to realize everything that was prepared for you to have that thing. We spoke about that many times. Many times, they'll have a plate of cookies. You open up a package of cookies, right? Or maybe chocolate chip cookies or vanilla, whatever cookies you have, right? And they're on a plate. Now, somehow, you look at the cookies and you say, I want that one. But they were all the same. They were made in the factory. They were all the same. I want that one, right?
The little brother also looked at that one.
And the little brother, no. And then if someone picks up that one before you get it, wait, that's my cookie. Did that ever happen? Why? Because you have something in us. That's the remes. These are the hints that we have. There's something in there that I'm connected to that one. I can make a tikkun on that one. That's why I want that one. It's very interesting. But yeah, you have to pay attention to these things. Otherwise, it's just, yeah. Okay, ve'ikar achila hamazbiya es ha'adam hu alechem. The main thing that satiates a person, the main satiation, the main satisfaction a person has from eating is from his bread. It's not from anything else. Right? So people say, no, I don't want to eat bread. I want to eat this. I want to eat salad. I want to eat this. No. Chazal teach us bread. Bread. Yeah.
Maybe can you eat matzah?
Matzah is bread.
Bread.
We learned that what makes bread, it has to have flour and water. Right? What did we learn before? What constitutes something that's bread? If it was able to be matzah originally. Now, if you take flour and water, then you can add other ingredients to it. But it had in there flour and water. Oh, flour and water is matzah. Right? So there's matzah hidden inside the bread. It's bahastora. It's hidden. Right? It's hidden. Okay? But okay. Yesh by asara mitzvahs k'may shekosa batur v'shulchan aruch. And therefore there are 10 different mitzvahs pertaining to the 10 fingers. We're going to learn the 10 words in the bracha. 10 words in the bracha. So what are the 10 things that we have? Okay. So we have over here. That are dependent on that on the pas, right? So you have the mitzvah. You have mitzvahs. Let's say you have mitzvah of leket, shichacha, and peah, right, in the field, right? When they were the whole story with Rus, right? The whole story with Rus, right? When you're growing tefua, wheat, right? So if you dropped one, right, that's leket. You drop it, that's for the ani, right? Shichacha is when you bundled up your wheat, and you're loading them onto your wagon, and you left one bundle. That one stays for the ani. You can't go back and get it. It's amazing, right? In other words, you would think it's on my field, right? No, wait, hold on, no. You left the bundle there, then that's for the ani. And peah is the corners of the field. Peah is the corners of the field. You left the corners of the field for the aniyim as well. Unbelievable, right? These mitzvahs that what?
Shechicha is a mitzvah you can't have kavanah for.
You can't have right, right, exactly. Reb Shalom said that all mitzvahs, they say there's mitzvahs tzrichas kavanah or ain't tzrichas kavanah. The mitzvahs need kavanah or not. The mitzvah of shechicha is the fact that I forgot it. That's how you mekayim the mitzvah. You fulfill the mitzvah by forgetting the bundle. It's fascinating. It's really a fascinating thing when you learn these things, right? And you have bikurim, right? The bikurim, right? The first ones, the mitzvah of bikurim, right? You bring it up to the Beis Hamikdash, right? The whole thing we learned about that. Truma, you have meiser. Right, you have meiser, and then you have meiser rishon, meiser sheni, challah, right? The mitzvah of challah. All these beautiful things. Also the mitzvah of kalayim, right? You can't grow other things together with it. This is also one of the mitzvahs. You have 10 mitzvahs connected to growing, with making bread. Did you ever think of that? 10 mitzvahs pertaining to take wheat and the whole process.
Do you think that today we have, like, instead of a shechicha, like, what would be?
They don't have but it's still the mitzvah is still there.
Yeah, I understand.
But we that's why we ask HaKadosh Baruch every day for
it's like 4 people.
Well, they still do leket. They do leket. They do. You could still do shechicha. You could still do it. You have a field, and the aniyim, you can invite the aniyim to come and take it. I don't know how practical it is today,
right.
but that's, I mean, look at the whole Megillah. Look at the story with Rus and Boaz, right? He had his field, and all the aniyim. That's how they made their parnasa. It's fascinating. They made their parnasa that way. Oh, he was lucky. He got a whole bundle. This guy got a whole bundle. Wow, he scored. Right? It was great. All right, anyway, okay, let's go back. Okay, so that's, in the Shulchan Aruch talks about the different mitzvahs again. Again, people don't know much about this, right? Who would ever think that there are 10 mitzvahs connected to making bread? I happen to have 10 fingers. There happen to be 10 words in the bracha, Hamaitzi Lechem Min Haaretz. Right? Interesting, okay? Because you have to clarify, you have to purify, you have to I don't know another word to use, right? You have to purify the bread, the wheat. You don't want to have the chaff in there. You don't want to have all of the junk inside the bread, right? All of the different the things people are involved in till they can actually get bread, right? You know, in Shulchan Aruch it talks about different things of different types of bread, right? You have different types of bread. You're supposed to take the bread that has the cleanest flour, right? So if you have, let's say, whole wheat, or you have a white bread, right? White. Right, white is considered more choice in halacha than the whole wheat. You'll say, "Well, the whole wheat's healthier." Okay, fine. Moscow, okay, it could be healthier, but you should, if you can, make and then the question is what you like better. So if you like it better, that could be more important. It's levadik in halacha. It's very interesting. People don't even think of that, right? There's a whole bunch of different breads, right? So you're supposed to take the bread that has the cleanest that's the cleanest wheat. And that's the choicest one, right? Okay, here we go. Shehem, charisha vazriya, right? You have to plow the field, right? Plow it, right? To make the, and then zriya, you have to plant, you have to do the planting. Vakitzira, and then you have to collect it, right? You have to cut it, right? Vabeira, and then you have to take care of mikoitz v'teven, right? You got to take out all the chaff and all of the junk that's inside there, right? The Gemara in Shabbos talks about you throw up the wheat and then the kernels, right? In the kernel you winnow it, right? You throw it up, and then the kernels would fall down, and that's how they would get the kernels. Unbelievable. And after then you have to grind it, and then you have to bake it. Because you want to clean it up from all of the stuff. You want good bread. All of this came about, this whole thing, that you have to work so hard to make bread. Right? Could you imagine? It would be just like they would have you go to the tree and there'll be a loaf of bread. Why not? Why? I mean, you take a fruit, it's all ready, right? You go to the tree, you take your apple, it's ready to eat, delicious, right? You go and take your orange, it's ready to eat, it's delicious, right? But you ever think, when you don't have bread, look at this whole chassan that you have to do in order to be able to make bread. All came about, right? By the sweat of your brow shall you eat. Yes.
Is there a deep parallel between the process of making bread and you refining yourself?
And what?
And you refining yourself.
Yes, we're going to see that. Yeah. Here, watch. Shoaz nigza Allah b'zeyas apecha toicha lechem. Right, because again, Adam Arishan did what he ate from that tree. Right, he listened to the advice of the serpent. Right, and then Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave him that curse. B'zeyas apecha toicha lechem. Ay. Okay, sheheim kol hamalachos ve'yagiyos. That has to do with all the work that we do, and why we have to go to work, and it takes us so much time, and we have to spend so much effort. Is all because of that curse. Until you can actually come to make bread. It's this whole process. It's all in order to clarify and take out the toiv from the ra. Right, all the chaff, all of the junk, the stones, and all the things that's stuck in, you don't need, that's all junk. You want to get rid of that. But you want to be mevar, the toiv, this grain, the kernel. You call it a kernel, right, Reb Shalom? Yeah. It's a kernel, right? The kernel. You want to be mevar. Just I want the kernels, and then I have to grind the kernels, and I want to make sure that they're just right. Al came be'emes ika habeira beruchnius nasa ayedei Yisrael ayedei esa mitzvahs hanayhagais bepas, and therefore the main bearer, the main clarity that comes from eating bread and everything else, and it goes with that, Pas Yisrael and all of that comes from a Jew, because we are the ones, Ayidei Eser Mitzvahs, we have the 10 mitzvahs that pertain to the bread. So again, people who have wondered why can't I eat whatever bread? Why can't I have whatever bread? Well, okay, because that other bread that you ate from the Nachri has nothing to do with the mitzvahs. Yet it's bread. There's bread and there's bread. Right, the bread that's made by a Jew, the bread that's made by people that are very careful what they're doing. This is a very special thing. To take out, to clarify the good from the bad, to take the oichel, the food, the kernel, right, from the psoilus, from the junk, lenakos hatvua mikoitz v'teven, in order to clean up the wheat, the tvua, from all of the impurities that's in it. Sheheim bechinas haklipas hakoidmin lepri. That's all about the idea that the klipa comes before the pri. Right? Every time you have, let's say an orange, right? So in orange, the husk, the what do you call it? The peel will come, and the fruit will fill inside the peel. Right? It's not the other way around. You don't have a fruit and then the peel develops. Right? The peel, it's like that with nuts as well. Right? The nuts is the same thing. They have the shell, and then the nut grows inside it. You want to say something, Michelle?
I'm just thinking, like we have a plum tree in our backyard. So
Yeah.
you're right. Like it starts out, it's very small.
Then it gets bigger.
It fills in, yeah.
That's the klipas kaiden the pre.
Maybe just one other idea is that some fruits have a pit.
Mm-hmm.
So inside, we have what you see.
All fruit has some sort of a pit. That's how you can yeah.
Right now, I was just saying that what you were just saying first is the klipa, then there's fruit, and then inside the inner part also is like a klipa because you can't eat the pits, right?
No, you can't eat the pit, but the pit the pit is it's such an advanced. It's so advanced, it's unbelievable, right? It has in there all of the DNA and everything of that tree, of that thing that it came from to reproduce it.
100%.
Fascinating. A seed is fascinating. How much information is inside that seed to know exactly what size the tree was and what color the fruit is, what kind of fruit, and all inside the little seed. Unbelievable. All of this is to clarify our emunah that got blemished by Adam Arishan. Right? Adam Arishan was created by Hashem Erev Shabbos, right? Erev Shabbos now, right? It was created by Hashem Erev Shabbos. And he listened to the snake rather than saying, wait, hold on a second. Hashem created, I don't know, snake, but you're telling me all of this stuff. I don't know. I know Hashem created me, and I'm subservient to Hashem. Listen, you go tell it to somebody else. I'm not interested in that. He could have done that. Right? He could have done that, but he didn't do that. And this is how we have to constantly work to mimavar all of the different questions we have in our mind. We have always things coming to question Hashem, different things. Get rid of that stuff. That's all the nachash that's coming. Realize it's all me'ez Hashem. Everything happens in the world happens because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it to happen. Finished. It's nothing else. Anything else, get it out of your head. It's nonsense. It's the same idea when the Nachash was talking to Adam. It's the same exact thing. It reoccurs each time in all of us. Shebehem nimshachim kol minei kefiros, and that's where all the kefira, all the heresy, right? All the heresy comes from. Sheim bechinas haklipas bebechinas moitz v'teven hachoifen. That's covering over. Alachita, that's covering over the chita, the wheat. Right? You have all the junk on top of the. Listen, if I gave you a piece of wheat, you don't know there's a kernel inside there, right? You don't see the kernel.
How somebody came up with this? Like,
but it's unbelievable, right?
That and grind and the whole process to get the bread, like
it's fascinating, right? And if you look at the piece of wheat, it doesn't look like it has no resemblance of a piece of bread, no resemblance at all, or of a cookie or anything else, no resemblance. But yet it's in there, right? Kemuven b'tikunei zoya v'zoya kadosh l'inyan beirer halacha shu bechinas levar achita meimoitz v'teven. And that's the whole idea. The Zoya says, halacha. It's very lebedik, right? You learn Shulchan Aruch. You have the Mechaber. You have the Magen Avram. You have the Machzor Shekel. You have the Tur, right? And you have the Mordechai. And then you have there's so many. Just to find out what the halacha is. All of the halacha is the same idea. It's like making bread. To define it. It's all the same idea. That's what the Zohar is saying. The whole idea to define a halacha is like the process of making a bread. Is that interesting?
One of the Torahs of Nachman, the Dama Shtushiv Lapikoros.
Yeah, that's right. You have to know what the answer to the Apikoros. That's right.
Right. Epicurus inside me.
Yeah. But that's what we're learning. That's what we're learning over here, right? You have to understand the same way. Just get rid of it. The same way, he's saying like this, the same way I want just the kernel to make my bread so I can have my nice sandwich and I can enjoy what I need and want to enjoy, right? So the same thing, and then how do I do it? I get rid of all the other junk. So take all the junk that I have in my mind, just get rid of it. Get rid of it. You don't need it. Yeah, get rid of it. Just this, realize it's nonsense. Yeah, and then that's why I believe the halacha is so that you want the bread has to be such refined flour. The more refined the flour is, the more choice the bread is. Right? The more choice the bread is, the more refined the flour is. Right? So people will tell you today, again, that they do all of these things today. Well, no, it's better if it's not so rich because I want to have the thing. Blah, blah, blah. That's not what halacha says.
The whole wheat is much more expensive than the regular.
You what?
The whole wheat is much more expensive.
I understand. Yeah. Well, but it should be cheaper. It should be much cheaper. Right? Whole wheat should be much cheaper. Right? Because it has still junk inside there. It's interesting, right? No, but when you learn halacha, you know where to go shopping. You know what you want to buy.
You know, like mincha, the flour, the base of English was white flour.
White flour, that's it.
Fine, cleanest.
Fine, the cleanest flour. When they made the carbon mincha, or they made the shtei alechem, they made the shtei alechem for Shavuos, and they made the lechem upon them. It was made by the finest flour. They didn't have whole grain or 7 grains or whatever. They come up with all these things. It's fascinating, right? No, and they charge, like Shalom said, they charge more money for it. But look in Shulchan Aruch. We could look. You'll see the bread that's the choice, the cleanest flour. That's what you're supposed to use. That's what you're supposed to use. Okay. Ki hakol echad. It's all one. Ki al yedei achila nimshach chiyas l'adam. Because through eating, a person has his vitality. Right. A person needs to eat. You have to eat. Right. But the ikar hachiyas hu adas v'achachma k'may shekosav hachachma techaya. Chachma is what gives a person life. Chachma's techaya, right? But what's the chachma? When you recognize that it's all from Hashem and it's not what I'm doing. It's not because of me. That's the real chachma. When you rely on the Rebbeinu Shalom. Ba'al kain hama'achal b'shorshay b'frat halechem hu ikar gavoya miyayid. And therefore, when I eat specifically bread, that's what the whole mitzvah of Pashachris is, right? In the morning, right? People don't know this, right? I speak about this all the time through these halachas, right? You're supposed to eat bread in the morning, right? Within the 6th hour, you're supposed to wash and eat bread.
In the morning.
In the morning, Pashachris. Right, Pashachris, eat the bread in the morning.
Maybe is Mazenas okay? Like I eat cereal, for example, in the morning, or you prefer to eat?
No. So no. You can't. Well, you can't wash. You can't wash your hands to eat bread. To eat cereal.
Sure. Okay. So I need to change my.
No. If you can. No. So either wash, have a roll, and then eat your cereal. You can do that. There's no problem, right? Whatever kind of bread you would like.
Matzah.
Matzah, fine. Eat a matzah. Okay. Eat a matzah. Okay, it's bread. It's good thing.
It's white.
It's a good thing you're not Sephardi because you couldn't do that if you were Sephardi, right?
Why?
Sephardim they don't wash on matzah during the year.
Any matzah?
No matzah. That's a cracker by them.
Interesting.
It's interesting, yeah, it's very interesting.
Why? I mean, I understand like you can make mezenas on something sweet, like it's like not bread. But what's the story with matzah?
You what?
Like I know some people that they don't say chamos, they say bread with like raisins and chocolate. Those kind of bread like they
Possibly kismin, right? If it's a sweet, if you add juice, you add juice sweet. Or different things to it, right? Sweet.
It sounds like a dessert. Exactly.
But it's still hamotzi though.
It's hamotzi. No. So that's a question. If you're being koveya suuda, if you're making it part of a suuda, then you can wash on it, then you can make hamaitzi. Right? The people don't know that, right? Really, there's a question, is there really a mizonos bread or no mizonos bread? There's a big question in halacha, right? It's a big debate that's very, very lebendig. This is going on for hundreds of years. This thing with is there such a thing as mizonos bread or not? So the real answer is, and that's when the whole thing with pizza came about. So if you're going to have one piece of pizza, so that's like a snack. It's not a meal. One piece of pizza is not a meal. It's like a snack. So it's like it's like you took a Danish, right? If you eat a little Danish, right, you're not going to say that that's my meal. Well, most people anyway. That's not a suda, right? What? No, I understand. Okay, so in the 1 second, if it's a meal, so then the question is, do you wash on that? People think that I'm going to eat this because I'm just going to eat my meal, but I don't have to wash on it because it's a mizonos. No, but that's a mistake. If I'm taking let's say even a wrap, right? You take these wraps today, right? So if you're eating just a wrap, because it's very thin, right? The question is if it's too thin, right? But if you just eating a wrap, so you make a mizonos on the wrap. If you're eating the wrap with, let's say, a dip, right? You want to just have a piece of wrap with a dip, so you make a mizonos. But if you're putting in there eggs, or you're putting in there tuna fish, or whatever, it's a suda, you're going to be eating that, so now you wash on that. Why? Because you're being koveya suda. You understand the difference? Yeah. Right? Either way, no matter what it is, if you're being koveya suda, you have to wash. Right? If you're going to sit down and eat the 12 barekas, right? So you have to wash on that too. Right? People think he's going to eat barekas, right? That's a paspa babakism, right? That's the classic example. Right? They fill it up with different things, right?
Even less.
What?
Even less than 12.
Well, whatever. I'm just saying they're just going to sit down and eat a box of those things, right? Hey, I don't have to wash. It's a mizonos. Hey, but wait, you just made it that Yisuda.
It happens at the Shlish, that kotel or somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just like food over there. There's also barakas.
Yeah.
So it's possible to wash and just have a few barakas.
You can.
Within a short time, and then.
Yes, yeah, you can. Absolutely. That's the idea. But again, we're learning over here that really the best thing is to take lichatchila, right? Lichatchila you do, because then it becomes a problem. Because let's say you had one pizza, right? And you made the mizonos. And now I want another one. Oh, it's very good. I want another one and another one. So now you have to wash. Yeah, but I just made a mizonos. So you don't make an ala michya, you just wash, and then the benching covers that as well. Right? It's interesting to understand the halacha, right? How it works, okay? Okay. That's chachma. Chachma tichya. Okay. V'al kain hamachal b'shorshay b'frat halechem hu ikar gavoya miyad v'ayki mishorish. Boy koyach v'chiyah shu b'chinas chachma l'achiyas adam l'kashet nafshay begufay. And that's how you connect the nefesh to the guf. Right? That's how you connect the nefesh. You have your soul is connected to your guf. How do you connect your nefesh to your soul? Through the brachas that you make. Mm-hmm. Right? We're gonna read soon in Parshas Eikev. It says, Lo yel alechem levada yichya adam, ki ha'moitze pi Hashem yichya adam. Right? Not on bread alone does a person live. Rather, he might say, whatever. When I make brachas, that's what gives me life. This is what we're saying here. Well, the kashet nafshay begufay. Right? You want to connect your nefesh to your soul. To your body. Okay. V'aval. Ched adam arisha and yesh soviv halechem psoilis harbe sheim moitz v'teven sheim bechinas hakushya sheim habilbul adas hamesavivin es hamayach ad she'ein yochel lohoven halacha al berura sheim dinei atayra kedosha. The whole idea here is all of the questions that come up. And this is the reason why Rabbi Nachman says every day you're supposed to learn halacha. Why? Because otherwise you have always the questions in the mind. When am I doing this? Am I doing that? Should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? All these questions. If you learn halacha, if you know halacha, so then you know what I'm doing. I don't have any questions. I know what to do. You take away all the questions by learning the halacha. Okay? Dinei HaTorah. Okay, shebishvil zeh tzrichin liyisyageya me'oid levara halacha me'kushyois And that's why you have to break your head a little bit sometimes on the halacha, right? We have it easy with the kids' Shulchan Aruch. He did it all for us, right? He went through the Magen Avrams, he went through the Torah, and he went through the Ba, he went through everything, and he gives you Psak Halacha. But really, if you study Shulchan Aruch, it's lebedik. You see all the different shitas. You see how you come to the maskana. It's a fascinating thing. Okay, the main thing is to mavar the lechem from all of the different questions, from the kushis and psoilas and all of the different impurities. That's the main thing, to get away all the questions that are trying to constantly bother our emunah, right? All the things we believe in Hashem, but then we heard this thing. Well, Hashem, where are you? Right? To clear all that stuff up, to realize that it's not that. The main tikkun of achila is through emunah. And that's why the first sin that was done in the world had to do with food. Right? Eating from the Eitz Hadas Taiva. That was the first sin that Adam did. That was the first sin. Eating. So the whole tikkun that everything we're doing is all to make that tikkun from that eating again. In Likutey Moran Chelik okay, Ikar Kiyam Hadas V'Shleimusai Hu Ayedei Emunah. The main Kiyam of Das is through Emunah. If you want to have your Das, and the main thing is we learn what is Das, to know Hashem. That's the main Choynei Nadas. Hashem gives me the Das. We make the bracha Choynei Nadas. Hashem, give me the Das to recognize everything I deal with today is coming from you. So I don't have to get angry at people, and I don't have to be anxious. I don't have to be what?
You can only be angry at Hashem. I mean, as silly as it sounds, but yeah, you constantly be angry at another person because that person is like a. He's just doing what Hashem wants. Exactly.
Right. So I don't have to get angry at people. I don't need to. Right. And then I have to ask myself, why Hashem? Why did He tell me that? What's this? What do I need? What's the message? That you can ask Hashem, right? That something happened. So I ask Hashem, what's the message in this? Right? There's many times Rabbi Nachman spoke about these ideas. Mamash, so many times the Rebbe talks about this whole idea about emunah. It's all about emunah. Recognizing that everything happens in the world is happening from, it's all emunah. Sometimes the idea is that a person has to be quiet, right? Sometimes you need to be quiet, right? There's a beautiful thing, shtika, right? Quiet, right? That's the whole idea that we're learning from the lesson from the Rebbe. The idea of the Talmud learns from the Rebbe, right? The idea that the Rebbe has his ideas and he gives over to the Talmud. You have to be quiet, right? To understand. We're going to say that in a minute, right? You have that in a second, right? Is all through emunah. Shaydei meir by Rabbi B'das Anifla Ki Meloi Chaloretz Kevaydai. Right, the tzaddik understands to the person that's great. Right, he teaches them that the world is Meloi Chaloretz Kevoda. You ever hear those? We say those words in Kedusha all the time. Right, Meloi Hakadosh Baruch Hu fills the world with His glory. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is filling the world with His glory. Right, in Sichas Haran, all the time the Rebbe is talking about this whole idea, it's all about HaKadosh Baruch Hu's glory, His honor in this world. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor is in the world. The question is, how do we have to reveal it? We have to constantly reveal it. And therefore, when I come to eat the bread, and now there's this loaf of bread in front of me, that all of the work was done, and they did the Shikha and the Lek and the Pei, and they did the Truma and the Maisa and the Maisa Rish and Sheni, and everything was done on this bread over here. Everything is done, and now we're coming to eat it. All of that was all cleared up, and now I see the bread. And that's why it's so important to eat the bread in the morning. Because I take a look at this bread and see how clean it is. Wow, that's what I got to do to my mind. I got to clean it up. I don't want all that junk that's in there. I got to clean up all that junk. I got to get rid of it. I got to get rid of that junk. The same way, look at this bread. It's so pure. It's so beautiful. And that's why they tell you today, eat the other kind of bread. Eat all kind of other flour. Eat all kind of other things. That's not pure. To keep all the junk inside. That's what they want. Shekol zeh nimshach me'adas hakadosh shel harav shu b'chinas Moshe shemeir adas hakadosh b'chol echad ladas ki Hashem hu Elokim. It's all connected back to Moshe Rabbeinu and the das ki Hashem hu Elokim. Right? We say in Shema, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Right? Hashem hu Elokim. Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei is Elokim. Right, Elikim is the shame of din, right? And all of the problems that we have in the world, and all of the things that are going on. But realize it's all Hashem, hu Elikim. The Yud Kei Vav Kei, Hakadosh Baruch Hu's name of kindness and mercy is really the same as Elikim, because Kol Ma David Rachman L'Tav Ovid. Hashem only does everything for our ultimate good. And if we only do if we would do tshuva, we wouldn't have to have the problem. The problems only come because we're not coming back to Hashem. So Hashem makes us problems. But He's only doing that not because He wants to punish us. Hashem is not trying to, He wants good for everybody. He doesn't want to do that. The same way you have your child. Sometimes you have to punish a child, right? You don't want to punish the child. You're only punishing the child to help the child so the child does better. Correct? If the child did good, you're not going to punish the child. Or the child said he's sorry, or the child, whatever, had remorse. So you say, okay, it's finished. The same idea, this way HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of us. Aval tachlis shleimus hadas hu hashtika b'chinas siyag l'chachma shtika. Here's your words then, Sash, right? That's why I told you before, right? Siyag l'chachma shtika, right? Chazal teach us these words, unbelievable. What's the sign of wisdom? Quiet, right? The sign of wisdom is being quiet. Quiet. In order to be able to connect back to the Aras HaRotzon, to be able to connect back to Hashem, sometimes you have to be quiet and just think about what's going on. Think about it, and then let the information enter your mind. Let the right things enter. Work on emunah. Take a look at that bread. It's white. It's beautiful. This is my mind, and I have to realize everything that I look at today, I want to purify it like my bread. Isn't that beautiful? The bread is clean. The wheat is clean, white, nice white flour. That's my mind. And that's why I have to have my 10 fingers on there. Right? We said the 10 fingers. David, you asked before, why about the 10 fingers? Yeah. The 10 fingers have in it, there's 14 joints in each one of your hands. You have 14 joints, right?
Okay.
Did you know that? No, you have three. You have three on each, 4 of the fingers, and the thumb has 2. So you have 3 times 4 is 12.
And 2 is 14.
And there you go, it's 14. Now I take 14 and 14 is 28. 28 is the gematria of koach. Koach, power, right? The power, koach. 2 words, right? Koach, right? To realize my koach comes from Hashem. Right? That's why I pick up my hands. I pick up my hands, Su Yidechem Kodesh Uvochos Hashem. Right? Why do I pick up my hands and I say Su Yidechem? For that reason. To realize, wait, to these hands and the work that it's doing and everything it's doing, it's only coming because of your koach, Hashem. It's all connected back to you. Fascinating. The things we learned here is unbelievable. Aval tachlis shleimas hadas hu hashtika shizag b'chol kebichinas haratzaratzin. V'alkin kisheroitzin le'echol Halechem oz ikar hamshocha sachias hu achokma v'adash etzrichen l'hamshach edei halechem hazeh. You draw this all from the bread. Again, when you pay attention to the bread. To realize, wait a second, like we started in the beginning. Where do I break the bread? From that place where it was just baked a little extra. Right? That place where it's a little darker. Right? And that's the part that I want to take, and I want to take that piece of bread, and I want to dip that into the salt. That part there, that one I dip into my salt. Right? And that's the whole mitzvah. People don't know that, right? You're supposed to have salt on the table all the time. All the time. And Rabbi Kramer should be gesund. He'll sit down at a table. The first thing he says, where's the salt? Right? Because the shulchan is like a mizbeach. Right? The shulchan today, like the altar in the temple, right? The altar, our table today is like the altar. On the mizbeach, there always had to be salt. Right? Yes.
So, with that idea in mind, you really should not have any toys on your table, right? The kids bring toys, and
toys. So with kids, I don't know. I'm not talking about toys. Salt. You have salt.
Right.
The kids want to bring toys. They can have a toy. I mean, when is
right? No, because it's like a mizbeach. It's a
yeah.
So that's why, to me, a toy is not like a covetistic thing on a mizbeach,
Okay. Okay. I understand, but listen, if you have a little 2-year-old kid that wants to come to the toy and he's comfortable,
whatever it is,
and that's why the kid will eat or something. I don't know. Listen. The thing is, you sit at the table, you have your salt on the table, you have your bread on the table, and then they'll let the kids do what the kids do. Right? Okay. Kol hatikun shaichlena mibracha b'kedusha v'tara b'oifen sheyiskadei achilas halechem hazeh oras harotzen, to come to this oras harotzen. It's all to bring me back to the rotzen Hashem, to bring me back to recognize it's all you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the world. Shu ikar tikun shleimus hadash nevara ad heina ayidei kol ha'avdos. And this is what happened, all the avoid that I did in order to make this bread. Sometimes we don't appreciate it, right? You don't appreciate it. You go to the bakery, you get a bread. You don't realize what went into that. So much went into that. So much went into be able to make that loaf of bread. We don't realize. Right? You take a pita, right? What the pita? What did they have to do to be able to make that pita? Right?
It's much more than even a piece of meat.
More than meat, yes. Meat does not as many mitzvahs. Here we said there's 10 mitzvahs to make bread. Meat doesn't have 10 mitzvahs. You have shchita, right? What?
Mlochas, how many mlochas needs to be done.
Yeah. She'osu ba'batfu ad shenase lechem, until we actually got the idea of lechem. Till we got lechem. So we'll stop over here. And then we're going to come. And the next, we're going to learn the Mitzvah Hashem on Sunday. Mitzvah Hashem, we'll pick it up where it says we're going to learn about yira. You're supposed to have a yira while you're eating, right? There's a yira you're supposed to have while you're eating, to realize, wait a second, I'm eating this food here that Hashem made for me. Wow! And there are different nefashos, there are different souls inside this food here. Wait a second, I got to make sure I'm doing the right thing, right? If not, you're killing souls for no reason, right? You have to realize that. Okay, we're going to learn a mitzvah. Let's learn halacha now in the Likutey Shulchan Aruch. So where we're up to in Likutey Shulchan Aruch, if I remember, I hope so.
20, Simon 20, number 5.
Number 5, 20 and 5. There we go. Okay. So we're learning the din, Likutey Shulchan Aruch. We're learning the din of Chazaras Tfilas HaShliach Tzibur, right? When the Shliach Tzibur is repeating, he's making the repeating of the Shmona Esrei, right? So what are the halachas on this? Now we come to Hey today, so that's Chaf, that's 20, and today we're up to letter Hey, Sifkat Hey, okay? Kishemagia Shliach Tzibur l'modim. So now when the Shliach Tzibur comes to Modim, right? Comes to the modim, right? You bend down, you bow down, right? Mishtachavim kol ha'kahol v'oimrim modim d'Rabbanan kuloi b'ishtachava. So the whole tzibur also bends down, right? There's a question. You don't bend your knees by Maidim, right? You just bend. You bow by Maidim, right? Everyone does Bishtachava, right? He says that's what the Bach says in the Rashal, and okay, fine. Okay, Amishu Aimed Betfila Shmein Esrei v'Shoimei Shashliach Tziba Igia L'Maidim. Let's say you're saying Shmon Esrei still, right? You're Miller Shmon Esrei, and now the Tziba gets up to Modim. The Shliach Tziba gets up to Modim. Imu Aimed Be'emsa Bracha. So if you're in middle of the bracha that you're saying, whatever bracha you're saying, and you're in the middle of it, you're not in the beginning or the end of the bracha. You're only in the you're in the middle. Mishtachah v'gamte. You can bow. Listen, there's a chiddush. So you're saying Shmon Esrei by yourself. Either you started later or you're saying a longer Shmon Esrei. Fine, Givaldik, good, great. Or sometimes you're in a place where they say so fast you can't say it, whatever. Okay, been to those places too, right? So now the tzibur, you're still a Miller Shmon Esrei. You're up to Shmak Hileinu, let's say. You're Miller Shmak Hileinu, right? And they're up to Modim. Whoa. So what do? Oh, so you can bow down in middle of the middle. If you're in middle of the bracha, you can bow down, not in the beginning and not in the end, in the middle. Right? He's going to say now. Aval im oimed betchilas bracha oisay bracha lo yishtachava. But if you're in the beginning of the bracha or the end of the bracha, you don't bow. Mishum the bracha, because you're not allowed to add a bowing in the beginning and then after a bracha. But in the middle, there's no hakpeda. There's no problem. You can bow in middle of a bracha. There's no problem with that. Al oisen she'amru Rabbi Seinu. We're going to learn further. He's going to explain it. So here's the thing. So now you're a Milah Shmones, right? And the Shliach Tziba gets up to Maidim, and you're in the middle of a bracha. Okay, so now everyone bows down. You bow down no matter what words you're saying. You can bow down, no problem. You bow with them. You don't say Maidim. Hey, that's the kid. You don't say Maidim. You say your words, but you don't want to do different than the tzibur, right? The tzibur is bowing. Everyone's bowing. So why do I want to be pirish from the tzibur? I don't want to separate myself from what the tzibur is doing. So I'll bow down also, right? I bow down also. But if I'm in the middle of the bracha, I can do that. But if I'm in the beginning of the bracha, I'm not allowed to, because there's hakpedi. You're not allowed to add bowings in the beginning or after a bracha. Right? Like we start Shmon Esrei, we say Baruch Atah Hashem, we bow. Right? And then we say Haktayv Shimcha L'chon L'hoides. At the end of the bracha, we bow over there. So there's certain times you bow in the beginning, and then sometimes you bow in the end. Right? Sometimes you bow in the beginning and the end. You're not allowed to add a bowing in the beginning of a bracha or the end of a bracha. That you're not allowed to do. But in the middle, you can. So therefore, if you're in the middle of the bracha, you can bow in Modim. If you're in the beginning or the end, you cannot bow. Okay, so everyone, thank you very much. It's so good to be back over here. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. I wish everyone a wonderful Shabbos, and the Mitzvah Hashem will pick it up on Sunday with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's help.